these 430 days or 430 years understood. We see in Ezekiel chapter 4 and chapter 5 the number of years that they are going to suffer as part of the judgment of God. How are these years understood? So, dear people of God, this is a special bonus part. The 430 days, historical or prophetic. Some scholars have said the number referred to 430 years of Gentile rule, beginning with Jehoiachin's exile in 597 BC, ending in 167 BC, the year the Maccabean revolt began. This view actually has several problems. The first is, there is no indication that 597 BC should be used as a starting point instead of 592 BC, the year Ezekiel actually began prophesying, or instead of 586 BC, the year the city Jerusalem actually fell. The second problem is, this view does not explain why 390 years were assigned to Israel. They had gone into captivity to Assyria in 722 BC, 125 years before 597 BC, when the time assigned to them actually began. And the third reason is, it is not clear that 167 BC actually was the year Israel was released from the yoke of Syria. That year actually was the beginning of the struggle. So coming to 390 years. The 390 years in reference to the sin of Israel was somewhat specific, being the years from the setting up of the calves by Jeroboam, that is from 975 BC to 585 BC, roughly, approximately the year of the Babylonian captivity. And the 40 years of Judah could refer to that part of Manasseh's 55-year rule in which he had not repented, and which we are clearly told was the cause of God's removal of Judah, even though Josiah's reformation had actually taken place. Still, all these are approximations by which commentators try to explain the 390 and the 40 years. Now, on the 390 days, or as we saw in the Septuagint, where it refers to that period as 190, there is wide disagreement among scholars. The penalties of Israel and Judah would have been concurrent, running on a same level for the last 40 years. But when does this period actually start? That's the question. From the end of the monarchy in 922 BC to the return in 538 BC is 384 years, which is close to 390 years. Maybe this can be looked upon as a period of iniquity and punishment for the northern kingdom Israel. And in the books of the Kings, the total length of the reigns of the kings of Judah from Rehoboam to Zedekiah is given as 394 and a half years. But this period cannot be connected with Israel, the northern kingdom's iniquity or punishment. You see the problem? So if we take the period from the destruction by Tiglath-Pileser, which is seen in 2 Kings chapter 15, in 734 BC to the exile, we get 148 years, which would be close to the 150 years which we see in the Septuagint of Ezekiel chapter 4 verse 5. And also from the fall of Samaria in 721 BC, the northern kingdom, to 538 BC is 183 years, which is close to the number of 190 years in the Septuagint, which we see in Ezekiel chapter 4 verses 5 and 9. I mean, all these are speculations which many commentators are putting forth. So coming to the 40 years. From the fall of Jerusalem in 586 BC to the first return of the exiles in 538 BC is 48 years, which might approximately represent the duration of the punishment of the house of Judah. 48 years? 40 years. Now, the sins of the house of Judah were those which they were guilty of during the last 40 years before their captivity. And some say that this is from the 13th year of Josiah, when Jeremiah began to prophesy. And some others say that this is from the 18th year, when the book of the law was found and the people of God renewed their covenant with the Lord. And some others hold that the 40 years may refer to the 40 years in the wilderness. God had warned these people of God that He will bring them back to Egypt. Not Egypt literally, but a bondage similar to that what they encountered in Egypt. We see this in Deuteronomy as well as in Hosea. Now God will reduce them to a kind of new Egyptian slavery or new Egyptian bondage. And He will show or depict that to the world. And in that, Israel will be kept in judgment for a longer period than Judah. This is what another commentator says. So coming to the total of 430 years, the 390 years of punishment appointed for Israel and 40 years of Judah cannot refer to the siege of Jerusalem, because that siege is referred to in Ezekiel chapter 4 verses 1 to 3, which is restricted to that literal siege, but which follows the whole pattern of punishment upon the people of God. So the sum of 390 and 40 is 430 years, which is actually famous in the history of the nation of Israel, because they were slaves in Egypt for a period of 430 years. We see this in Exodus chapter 12 and also referred to in Galatians chapter 3. So, coming to this period of 430 or 390 and 40, why did God choose the numbers 390 and 40? That's the question for us. The days we saw in chapter 4 verse 5 represent the years of their sin, and each day corresponds to a year in Israel's as well as in Judah's history. So the question is, were the years past or future? If they refer to the past, Ezekiel was referring to the number of years Israel and Judah had sinned before this judgment. And if they refer to the future, Ezekiel was indicating the number of years the nation would be oppressed by Gentiles after falling to Babylon. 430 years. That's what we are looking at. 430 years of judgment. We saw that in chapter 4. Everyone knows that the people of God spent 70 years as the captivity period in Babylon. So from 430, we have to subtract 70 and we get 360 unaccounted years. Because after that period, they came back to their own land. So 360 unaccounted years. There's an interesting area in the Bible, which is in Leviticus chapter 26, where God says 4 times, after all this, if you do not obey me, then I will punish you 7 times more for your sins. So multiply that 360 by 7, you will get 2520 years, which is actually on a Hebrew calendar. And we know that Hebrew calendar had only 360 days in a year. So converting that to our year, which is 2483 years, 9 months and 21 days on a 365-day year calendar. And we are going to adjust for some calendar reforms. So when the Gregorian reform was done, 11 days were removed because they adopted the leap year formula. And when leap years are taken into account, in that period, we find that 621 leap year days are computed. But every 400 years in this Gregorian system, we see that extra 3 days are added. So effectively 6 cycles will be in 2483 years, which will have 18 extra days, which are too many. So we saw that 11 days were already removed. So additionally 7 more need to be removed. So effectively we get a sum of 614 days. So 614 days and 2483 years on our calendar is 905,295 days. 9 months, which are 270 days, and 21 days. So add it all up, we get 907,200 days on the Hebrew calendar. Now we are going through this because these two calendars need to be harmonized. That's the reason. So, the servitude of the nation. I touched upon this in the previous session and I told you that I had interesting calculations for you. So, the servitude of the nation or the captivity period, 70 years, which is 25,200 days, which are on our calendar 69 years, less 2 days. So, 606 BC, that's the time when that captivity started, the first siege. 606 BC onwards, if you compute 69 years, you get the figure or the year 537 BC. So, if July 23rd, 537 BC was their release, you compute 2,483 years, 9 months and 21 days from that date. And mind you, you have to add a 1 because there is no year 0 between BC and AD. So compute all that and you will arrive at the date, May 14, 1948. And what's the specialty of that date? On that date, the nation of Israel was re-established. Amazing, isn't it? So now you are seeing the chart. See that period, the captivity period or the servitude of the nation ended at the time of the decree of Cyrus. We saw that in the previous session. And if you compute 2,520 years from that decree of Cyrus period, we will exactly get May 14, 1948. So the restoration of the nation. So servitude of the nation, restoration of the nation. But what about Jerusalem? It worked wonderfully for the nation as a whole. But what about Jerusalem, the nation's capital? So we're going to see the times of the Gentiles. If 2,520 years from the end of the captivity period, we reached at the date of May 14, 1948. If we compute 2,520 years from the end of the desolation of Jerusalem, what date will we arrive at? That's the question. That's the interesting part. See, Luke 21 verse 24 says, where Jesus says, they will fall by the edge of the sword and be led away captive into all nations, and Jerusalem will be trampled by Gentiles until the times of the Gentiles are fulfilled. Jerusalem will be trampled by Gentiles until the times of the Gentiles are fulfilled. If we study the history of Israel, checked upon all this in history, I found out that even after 1948, even in the 6-day war, Israel got access to the city Jerusalem. But even till now, they don't control that city. They don't control Jerusalem. So right from that period, right after desolation of Jerusalem ended, Israel has not gained access or control, real control over the city Jerusalem. So the decree of Artaxerxes ended the desolation of Jerusalem period, and that same decree kick-started the 70 weeks of Daniel period. So if we calculate 2,520 years from that decree of Artaxerxes' time, wherein the desolation of Jerusalem was stopped, was halted, if we calculate that remaining 2,520 years, we should arrive at the restoration of Jerusalem. And what date could that be? The duration of the times of the Gentiles, according to Luke 21:24. In history, the decree of Artaxerxes, issued to Nehemiah, we see that as March 14th, 445 BC. If we compute that 2,483 years and 9 months and 21 days from that date, and again we have to add 1 because there is no year 0 between BC and AD, we will arrive at the date January 5th, 2040, the time of Jesus' return. And if we subtract 7 years from that date, we will arrive at January 5th, 2033, which is the latest date for the harpazo or the rapture. And don't get shocked. We are not setting dates. You may ask, are you setting dates? Absolutely not. I told you, the latest date. Because as we all know, Jesus himself said, no man knows that time or the hour. Only the Father in heaven knows that exact time. God has kept that precise moment as a surprise. But I thought of showing you all this as I came across this, the latest date, if this calculation is legitimate. Now, even if this may be exact or maybe varying, don't miss the big thing. And what's that? Jesus can come back sooner than you and I think. Especially as we know that the Gog-Magog invasion is so close, the rapture is even more close. We are seeing all those things in our Strategic Trends update in the same channel. So don't forget to subscribe to this channel. You will get all those episodes also as notifications. Why do I say the rapture is so close? Because there are a lot of events to happen between the rapture and the beginning of the 70th week of Daniel. For example, the rise of Babylon to a world power, the revealing of the Antichrist and his rise to power so as to enforce that 7-year peace treaty in the land of Israel. All those events take time. That's why I say that there is a time gap between the rapture and the start of the 70th week of Daniel. And the longer it takes, it's good for all of us because it gives us a little more time to be earnestly serving our Master, to do the work of the Lord, and to prepare ourselves for the coming of the Lord. Praise the Lord for that.